Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday and it is time for our pop-up training. And today it's going to be all about lists. I want to thank you so much for being here. I am Jamie Steele, the owner of Tidy Your Time in Pflugerville, Texas, just outside of Austin. I help busy individuals take control of their digital life and calendars so they can focus on their passions. Speaking of the calendar, can you believe it's February already? I'm so used to seeing posts about how long January is, and January just seemed to go by in the blink of an eye. I don't think I saw one post this year saying, will it ever end? So we are into February, 1 month down in the quarter. It's a good time to reflect back and see what worked and what didn't work last month, what changes you can make for the upcoming month. Remember, we talked a lot about looking for obstacles when we were setting goals. And this is a good time to look for those obstacles and see what plans you can make to beat those obstacles in the future. If you're watching, let me know you're here in the comments. We're live on my Positively Productive Facebook group, so I'm hoping some of y'all are tuning in. And then I will post the video to YouTube, and there's always a replay in the group. So wherever you are, make sure you say hi. If you're on YouTube, hit like and subscribe. That would help me a lot. And like I said, today we are going to talk about making a master list and listing your way to productivity. But before we get started, I wanted to remind you, so last reminder on this, where does time go? The event where I'm hosting with Angels Fight Crew is coming up tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Central. Angels Fight Crew is a nonprofit in the Dallas area that helps displaced youth. And they help with school supplies, holiday gifts, and other things that are needed throughout the year. 50% of the proceeds for this event, it's $20, but 50% of the proceeds of the event will be going to Angels Fight Crew to help those displaced youth. And I hope you will be there. You go to Eventbrite and you can find the event and sign up, and then you'll get the Zoom information. I'll post a link to the Eventbrite event in the comments after we're done here. So let's start talking about lists. I'm wondering how many people have a to-do list. Let me know in the comments if you currently use a to-do list. I feel this is the best thing you can do for yourself to really help your productivity, because getting everything out onto a list gets it out of your head. And when it's out of your head, it frees your mind up to think of bigger projects, to really think about the details. It frees up space. So let the list be your memory. It can be digital or it can be on paper. Either way, as long as you can access it when you're ready to start planning. You don't really have to carry a master list around with you all the time. This is what you're going to use to plan your weeks and to plan your days. So how do you start creating this master list? The first step is to find a notebook, a pad, an app that you absolutely love. For the pad, I recommend something that's bound, like a legal pad or a spiral notebook or a bound notebook, so you can keep everything together. If you don't like what you're putting your to-dos in, you most likely won't refer to the list. So pick something that you can either carry with you or that is in a specific spot in your office where you plan. Pick what's right for you. Some people want small notebooks. Some people want really large notebooks. It's really up to you what type of tool you're using to create your list. Digital definitely works. The advantage is to digital that it is always with you and you can carry it around on your phone or your tablet, or it's on your laptop. If you can keep lists in apps like Evernote or OneNote, Microsoft To Do is another favorite of mine. I keep my list in SchedPal, which we'll talk a little bit about later. So you could also do a hybrid system. So you start on paper and then enter your tasks digitally once you have categorized and sorted them. And again, we'll talk about categorizing and tagging and things in just a little bit. Now, once you know what tool you're going to use to capture your list, I want you to do a brain download. List it all out. It doesn't matter if you repeat yourself. Everything that is on your mind needs to go onto this list. And you can be repetitive if you need to. Maybe that means that it's really important to you if you keep writing it down. And don't worry about how these items are going to be done quite yet. Just write down what's on your mind, or in your digital app, put it in there. Once you've emptied your mind, I'm sure you still have other to-dos hiding. So go through the piles on your desk or maybe in the kitchen and make a note of all of the items that you want to accomplish. And something that's very important about list making, we talked about this in goal setting too, is using an action word to get you activated to work on the to-do. So if you need to call Jenny, then you need to write down call Jenny on your to-do list. Don't just write down Jenny's name, because most likely you won't remember what you had to do in regards to Jenny. So we've downloaded our brain. We've gone through to write down piles and binders to write down anything that we may have forgotten. And again, remember, you're not acting yet. Your only action is writing down what's in your head and taking inventory. This is something you should do routinely. If I would say at least once a week. Some people prefer daily just to get it all out. But I'd say at least once a week, download your brain, go through your notes, and see what needs to be added to your master task list. I personally, what I do is I use my planner to capture incoming tasks. And then at the end of the week, if I wasn't able to complete that task, it gets added to my master list for future planning. So we've got a list. You have a master list. It's all written down, and now we need to make some sense of it. There are ways to do this, and you'll need to figure out what works best for you. I always recommend sticking with the method for a bit to see if it really works. All new things are hard in the beginning, so take some time to make sure the system is or isn't working. If you're not getting tasks complete, if you're not able to find the right task, then the system may need to be tweaked for you. And that's okay. That's all about finding. That's how we find our productivity flow, is we look at systems that are in place and then we tweak them to fit our needs. When I was a paper planner, when all I did was paper, I didn't have a digital calendar, I didn't have a digital task list, I would keep all my to-dos on the same list, be it personal or work. But when I wrote my list out, I color coded using these, I think I've shown these before, these handy friction erasable pens. So each color was reflective of a different area of my life, be it work, family, or self-care. Then after I would write a task down in the appropriate color, off to the side, I would denote whether it was a call, an event, an email, something to do on the computer, and I would just do little initials out to the side. I do recommend writing down a legend of what your initials mean, because you will and forget if they're not really clear. So you could also have a separate page in your notebook for each aspect of your life and group your to-dos on the appropriate page. This is really great for people who get overwhelmed by a long to-do list. I want to say here too that a to-do list is really a living document. You're never going to be done with your to-do list. And I know that may make some people a little anxious. What do you mean I'm never going to be done? Well, if you have nothing to do, then life isn't very interesting. So we're constantly building on our to-do list, crossing things off, letting things go, adding to them. It's a living document and it will never be done. I think once we make peace with that, we can lessen some of the anxiety around these lists. What else do we want to talk about? I told you about how I use the digital and paper system. So again, I write down my incoming to-dos in my planner. And then at the end of the week, anything that I wasn't able to get done goes onto my master list, which I keep in a combination of Microsoft To Do and SchedPal. I mentioned SchedPal earlier. They have a really great outline format where you can assign groupings and then list out everything that needs to go into that group or category. And then SchedPal actually schedules your tasks based on your preferences, on your energy level, when you prefer to work on things. I'll put a link to that in the comments as well. It's really helped me know what to work on and when. And if you get off track, the beautiful thing about SchedPal is you hit a button and it updates your schedule for any tasks that you missed and reschedules them. If you are using a strictly digital system, that is great because you can carry it around with you wherever you go. When you have a few minutes, you can add to the list and take away from the list. You can also categorize or tag your to-dos, so it brings some color coding. You know what if the to-do has to do with family or self-care or business. Anything you can do to get information at a glance on your digital app is going to be of benefit. You can also generally in these to-do apps sort by category or tag. So if you have one master list going, but you need to see a specific area of your life, you can sort your digital to-dos by category, and that can be really helpful for people. So now we have this massive list. It's categorized. You may have split your list up into different aspects of your life, but now we're going to do a review and decide whether you're going to do it, delegate it, or delete it. So this is a download of our brain that we've listed things maybe twice, maybe set them a little differently, maybe not in order. So the categorizing and tagging, you kind of get everything in order. And then now you're reviewing to decide when you're going to get things done. If it's a task that you're going to complete, estimate the amount of time it will take. So is this a 30-minute task, a 2-hour task? How long is it going to take? And set a date for it to get done. There's a couple of options when you put the date down. You can either put a due date, so you're going to get the task done by a certain date, or you can put the date you're going to act on it. Sometimes that's helpful for people just to engage them and motivate them to move to action on a specific day instead of planning steps to complete something by a certain time. If you're going to use a combo of action date and due date, I highly recommend you note which you're putting down so you don't get confused later on down the road. If you're going to delegate a task, you need to realize that this is going to take some extra work. Delegating isn't just handing off a task to somebody. You have to have a process. If you follow a specific system for getting that task done, writing it down and training the person you're delegating to as to how it should be done. You also need to make sure they have buy-in. If they're not interested in the task and don't understand the importance of the task, then it's probably not going to get done. So if you find that person who you think is going to have buy-in, who you can train on doing the task and is going to really strive to get it done for you, write that person's name off to the side on the task. Now, this is the one that I think people are surprised by. There are items that you can simply cross off your list now because you can see the larger picture and realize that they just don't need to be done. If you have been thinking about doing something for a year and it's still not done, do you really need to do it? Does it really need to be done? It looks like we just had a comment. Let's see. Do you recommend to write everything on the list that we will do the next day, even like what food we will have and the small things are just work related? I think for the master list, it's a combo. So it's you put the big blocks on the master list and the small blocks. You can get as detailed as you want, but when you go to plan your week, that's when you pull from the master list into your planner, your digital calendar to time block, things like that. Um, so if you are doing like the food may not go on the master list, that may just go in your planner. So you have a little leeway with what goes on there. I usually look at the master list as the bigger projects and tasks that I need to get done, and more of the routine stuff I just automatically put in my planner for the day or my digital calendar. I hope that answers the question. And I think it can be both personal and work related. In the beginning, I was talking about how on paper I would color code my personal and work so it would stand out to me and I would know what category I wanted to look at. So we talked, if there are any other questions, please put them on. We're about to wrap up. I really want to get through to that do, delegate, delete. Just because you wrote it down doesn't mean you have to do it. Another option is to have a parking lot list. So this would be something separate from your master list and would be projects that, yes, you really do want to complete sometime, but you have no idea when you're going to be able to do it. So it's kind of a holding area. I wish I could remember the blog I read it on, but somebody was talking about giving yourself permission to plan projects and then not implement, putting them in this parking lot. So when you're ready to come back to it, your plan is there and you're ready to go. So I hope this making a list makes you feel better. Remember, you can do it as one long list. You can break it up into separate lists if you want, but the key is to have all of these lists in one place. So when you go to plan your week or your quarter, you know exactly what you're pulling from and you're not having to remember it all. It frees up space in your brain to think about the bigger picture. Next week, we're going to continue on the same theme, and we're going to talk about Trello. I'll be sharing my screen for the first time on these lives. So I'm really excited about that. And we're going to talk about how Trello can be used to keep you positively productive. Don't forget, tomorrow we have Where Does Time Go? It's at 11:30 a.m. Central. Melissa Sutherland of Angels Fight Crew and I will be presenting on some time management tips and techniques, how to manage your calendar, your tasks, I said it in the wrong order and then I forgot things. How to manage your priorities, your tasks, your calendar, and your energy. There we go. It will be about a 45-minute presentation and then time for questions and answers. It is being held through Zoom, so you'll really be able to interact with us. I think that's it for today. I'm so happy to have had y'all here. Thanks for the questions. And let's see if I have any more. Let's see, that looks like there's one more. If we plan the small things, will it help us decrease the decisions we will take the next day so we keep our energy for the big things? As a student, I use a small planner only. I think if you plan the small things, it helps decrease decision fatigue. From what you are going to eat, yes, I have a weekly meal plan. I sometimes follow it, I sometimes don't, but it gets me prepared for when I'm in the moment of not knowing what to do. I have a plan already and it's there. The more decisions we have to make throughout the day, the less likely we are to make good decisions. Our decision-making behavior decreases over time. So plan for as much of the little stuff as you can without it being overwhelming. Like Elon Musk, I've heard, uses 5-minute increments in his time blocking, which seems a little too detailed to me, but that may work for you. I prefer like a 15 to 30-minute time block. So yeah, planning those little things does help, but you want to make sure you're balanced and not creating anxiety over following the plan exactly. Look at it as a guide map. If you're using a smaller planner, especially for academics, there's this planner called the Academic Planner by Order Out of Chaos that I love because it has space for all your courses, and you can write across the week what you need to do. And then at the bottom, it actually has space for you to time block the rest of your day. That's for the high school version. They do have a college version as well that really allows you to schedule your full day and not just your classes. So I'll throw a link to that in the comments as well. What else? Those were some great questions. Thank you so much. I think that is it for today. I am going to throw those links in the comments. I hope to see some people tomorrow at Where Does Time Go? And I will see you next Tuesday talking about Trello and productivity. Bye.